Home means something different to everyone. But with Rocket Mortgage, home can mean even more. It can mean a college education, taming your high-interest debt, even a renovation. We've made it easier than ever to use your home equity. That home you worked so hard for, now it can work hard for you. Call 800-4ROCKET or visit rocket.com to find out more.
Rocket Mortgage, LLC, licensed in all 50 states. NMLSConsumerAccess.org, number 3030.
This episode is brought to you by Factor. Optimize your nutrition this year with Factor, America's #1 ready-to-eat meal service. Factor's fresh, never frozen meals are dietitian approved, ready to eat in just 2 minutes. Choose from 40 weekly options across 8 dietary preferences like Calorie Smart, Protein Plus, and Keto. Eat smarter at factormeals.com/listen50 and use code listen50 for 50% off plus free shipping on your first box. Factormeals.com/listen50, code listen50. T's and C's apply.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Welcome, my friends. It is another Monday. Welcome to the Monday edition of Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. James Golden with you here. 800-848-9222 is the telephone number. That was an accident. Carlos. He's looking at me like, what? Lately, we have not been taking calls during the week. We have been just, just powering through it because time is so short and there's so much to do. And then we take calls on the Saturday show. So I don't know. Maybe we'll take a call or two today. I don't know. We'll see what happens. But at any rate, there is a lot of news out there, a lot of news to discuss, and we shall get to it because time is so short very quickly. As you know, Joe Biden over the weekend, it came to light that Joe Biden has been diagnosed with aggressive prostate cancer. When I heard that, I got a chill, a real chill, because I myself have had not aggressive. Well, I have heard the words aggressive. But when I was first diagnosed with prostate cancer, it's a surprise, I don't think, when you first hear it. Now, I will say this, having been through prostate cancer, having so far done well with it, one can never say what happens in the future, whether it will return, whether it won't. It is quite chilling when you hear those words, regardless of who is the person that has the disease. Mine, in my case, ladies and gentlemen, it was monitored for several years without me having to take any action. And then one monitoring trip, got back home, and I suddenly get a telephone call. I was being treated at NIH, as many of you know. And I got a call. Your cancer has turned aggressive, and you need to get here now. And that was it. Okay, so when I hear the words aggressive and prostate cancer, and that sends a chill up my spine for whoever it is that's hearing that news. The finding for Joe Biden came after, says the Associated Press, he reported urinary symptoms, which led the doctors to discover a nodule on his prostate. And he was diagnosed with prostate cancer Friday, the cancer cells having spread to the bone. I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to speculate. I will say that I'm trying not to say something here because my experience is that, yes, when you have aggressive prostate cancer, you have to act quickly. It is just amazing. Well, when you hear some of the reports that have been on television today, that they looked through the records that were available and there was no PSA testing going on, I'm just stunned by that. in case most of you don't know about this, if you can, and all men are urged to over a certain age to get your PSA tested. It's a blood test. And there are markers there. You get a Gleason score out of it, and that can tell you where you stand if it's something to be concerned. It's a simple blood test. It's part of the blood work. So for the President of the United States not to have that included is just, I'm shocked. It's just beyond, to me, when I say it's almost beyond belief, it is such a common test, especially for older men. And I mean, when I say older men, I'm talking about when you get to be in your 40s, you need to start considering having your PSA. It's a blood test. You're going to get blood work anyway, so just have a PSA test, guys. If you happen to be a black guy, yes, you'd better start getting tested earlier than 40, just to be on the safe side. Just have them run a PSA test with your blood panels. That's all. And if you start getting symptoms like urgency, men have suffered this, know what I'm talking about. Urgency, or you have to get up multiple times in the night to take a trip to the restroom, then you may want to, want to go get it checked. Now, our good friend, Dr. Peter Miklas, has just texted me, and he said, good news, he's older, and with hormone, it slows it down, and that is exactly right. This is not necessarily an immediate death sentence, even though it is aggressive, even though it has metastasized to Joe Biden's bones. And by the way, that is the fear. That is why, in my own case, my doctors told me, hightail it up. I had to leave where I was living and go to NIH in Maryland to go get treated. And I lived there for several months while I was being treated. And they're like, hightail it. And what they showed me is, first of all, until they touch your prostate, you don't even know you have one. And as my doctor liked to tell me, there's only one way in. So it's not the most comfortable exploration in the world. I can see women right now. You listen to these men complain about this stuff. Look, we're not used to it. You ladies, comes with the territory. Men, well, at least most men don't like being invaded. And it's invasive. The prognosis, Dr. Mikula says, is worse in younger men. That's right. And I was about to mention this, and then Dr. Mikula said, now the thing about it is, there's a capsule. What does that mean? It's not like a space capsule. There is like a little, your prostate is like this oval shaped thingy, I guess. And around it, though, it's like an atmosphere, a capsule of its own, like, substance. And if the cancer cells can maintain inside there, you can be treated like with radiation, or they can just remove it if they're careful. But if those cancer cells break out of that capsule, then that's what Joe Biden has. It's broken out, and it then metastasizes into his bones. And let me tell you something. I had the best treatment to me in the world. And as a result, I'm a huge fan of NIH and the work that they do. And the work that they've done on especially on these kind of issues like with prostate cancer. Huge fan. And it was intense. But when they go to be aggressive, it's really a tough deal. And I say all that to say this. I join with all of you of goodwill and good hearts who have expressed your desires that President Biden, and hopes and desires and prayers that President Biden will, A, have a successful treatment. There is no cure, by the way, for this, but it can be managed. And usually it can be managed, even the aggressive form that he has now, for several years it can be managed. So we're all hoping for the best possible outcome. Yes, that capsule. Okay, Dr. Nicholas just gave me a much better explanation than mine. That capsule he's talking about it's like an orange peel. So you have the fruit and then you have the peel. Now, if that cancer escapes out of the peel, then it's in the body and life gets woof. And it can be very miserable, my friends, very, very miserable. So I hope and pray that the Biden family, that Joe Biden has a successful management of this, and that he can be treated as successfully as humanly possible. Donald Trump and others have also, President Trump was he said he and First Lady Melania Trump saddened to hear of former President Joe Biden's cancer diagnosis. We're saddened to hear about his recent medical diagnosis. We extend our warmest and best wishes to Jill and the family and wish Joe a fast and successful recovery. Now, when we get back, there are other voices. And we're going to let you hear some of those other voices, including some Democrats that you might think are not being as gracious as you would like during this difficult time for the Biden families. James Golden, Snerdley with you here. Both Snerdley's Rush Hour. Whatever you do, keep it here. Don't go away. Fastest hour in American media is underway.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Faraday presenta Ojos con Alergia y Picazón contra el jardinero. Y el ganador es Faraday Extra Fuerte. Para aliviar la picazón de los ojos por alergia, actúa más rápido y supera a Claritin y Flonase aún a las 24 horas. Faraday, adelante.
Every idea starts with a problem. Warby Parker's was simple. Glasses are too expensive. So they set out to change that. By designing glasses in-house and selling directly to customers, they're able to offer prescription eyewear that's expertly crafted and unexpectedly affordable. Warby Parker glasses are made from premium materials like impact-resistant polycarbonate and custom acetate, and they start at just $95, including prescription lenses. Get glasses made from the good stuff. Stop by a Warby Parker store near you.
This episode is brought to you by Hulu, presenting Paradise. Paradise is Hulu's critically acclaimed addictive drama series, starring Sterling K. Brown, Julianne Nicholson, and James Marsden. The Daily Beast calls Paradise your next TV obsession, and the New York Times says it's exhilarating in all the right ways. Paradise is for your Emmy consideration in all categories, including Outstanding Drama Series. For more information, visit fyc.hulu.com.
Grandpa's here!
Hank's always helping out, Grandpa style. Now he's treating his prostate cancer with help from Xtandi enzalutamide. Xtandi 40 milligram tablets treats men with prostate cancer that has spread to other parts of the body and responds to a medical or surgical treatment to lower testosterone. Xtandi may cause serious side effects: seizure, a brain condition called PRESS, allergic reactions, heart disease that can lead to death, falls and bone fractures, swallowing problems, or choking that can lead to death. Stop Xtandi and get medical help at once if your face, tongue, lip, or throat start swelling. Tell your doctor at once if you faint, have a seizure, quickly worsening headache, decreased alertness, confusion, vision problems, chest pain or discomfort, or shortness of breath. Xtandi can cause harm to an unborn baby or miscarriage. Use birth control during and 3 months after Xtandi. Common side effects include muscle and joint pain, feeling unusually tired, hot flashes, constipation, less appetite, diarrhea, high blood pressure, bleeding, falls, fractures, and headache. Talk to your doctor and visit Xtandi.com.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Okay, all right, let's just get started with it. Brian Stelter. Look, folks, I want to start with the Democrats, and then we'll get into some of the others. Republicans have been, how shall we say, wishing Joe Biden well for the most part. There have been some statements that have been made, but let's start with CNN Media and Brian Stelter with this. Cut 3, and here is Mr. Stelter.
The timing, Jessica, is just extraordinary. We know from the statement from his personal spokesman that Biden learned of the diagnosis on Friday. Well, what was the biggest Biden story on Friday? It was the release of those audio excerpts from his conversations with Robert Hur back in 2023.
Whoa.
This was the audio that Axios obtained, almost certainly from the Trump administration, showing memory lapses. And you heard a lot of people on Friday talking about that audio being hard to hear, even excruciating to hear. Biden showing his age on those audio tapes that had never been heard by the public until now. So on the day that story was breaking, Biden was facing this personal news. At least that's according to the statement from his personal spokesman. So you have that as one element of the timing here. And then you have, as you and Paul just acknowledged, this book coming out, one of the biggest political books in several years. Take out our colleague Jake Tapper for a second. This book, no matter where it was coming from, was going to be a very big blockbuster book. And it just so happens two of the best reporters in Washington, Jake Tapper and Alex Thompson, are the authors of it. It's already a bestseller based on the number of pre-orders. And so this book comes out in 2 days, but some of the excerpts have already come out, and it's reignited this debate in Washington and beyond within the Democratic Party about Biden, about whether he should have run for re-election at all. So it seems to me, Jessica, this debate doesn't end at all, but it is briefly put on pause as a result of today's news. Oh, it's put on pause, really. Well, you know what else is put on pause? Certain criticisms. Let's go back down memory lane, folks, and let's visit with Allison Camerata back in 2023, who just prior to Joe Biden's run for the White House, yes, that would be the one.
President Biden got his physical today at Walter Reed, probably his last checkup before he's expected to announce he's running for re-election. He's already our oldest president. He'd be 86 at the end of a second term. So what do the results of his physical tell us? He's apparently, according to his own doctor, President Biden remains a healthy, vigorous 80-year-old male who is fit to successfly execute the duties of the presidency.
Yes,
all right, well, all questions answered there, I guess. President Biden does have word-finding difficulties. He does. I mean, anytime you hear him in a speech, he does stumble. And I don't know if that's his stutter or if that's the prompter, but he does. And as you know, his critics seize on that. I just think that, when you watch other networks, they edit it strategically to show his flaws, to show him stammering. They do that, and then they sort of, wring their hands about how concerned they are. All right, well, all questions answered there, I guess.
All questions answered. He's healthy. Nothing wrong with him. We have more, folks. We're just getting started with the audio. But remember these things that we were told in the past about Joe Biden and Joe Biden's health. Nothing, by the way, that we play today in terms of audio, and you're going to hear from Joe Biden himself. Nothing that I am playing today, I'm playing with the intent of downplaying this news. And yes, our prayers are with President Biden. Coming back, don't go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only. Then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
This episode is brought to you by Chevrolet. Chevy certified service technicians are factory trained to fit your vehicle with the tires specifically developed for it. And with our tire price match guarantee, you get the best fit for the best deal. Let us do the work. Available on select eligible tire brands at participating dealers only. Offer ends 12/31/2025. Terms apply. See dealer for complete details. Visit Chevrolet.com/service to learn more.
Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant. 9.5 plus pH, now in cans.
Refreshing.
Made for every way you move.
Should I run a marathon?
Let's start with finishing that water. Smart Water Alkaline with antioxidant, now in a sleek can. For those with a taste for taste. Grab yours today.
This episode is brought to you by Temptations Cat Treats. Your cat will come running for the perfectly irresistible Temptations Creamy Puree and Temptations Lickable Spoon Cat Treats. The best time to feed lickable cat treats to your cat is anytime. Feed by hand for a playful moment, in a bowl for a creamy treat, or as a topper to make mealtime fun. Visit TemptationsTreats.com to learn more.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Well, I think those conversations are going to happen, but they should be more muted and set aside for now as he's struggling through this.
That's David Axelrod on CNN. Those conversations we were having about Joe, they should be muted now. James Golden, Snerdley with you, the fastest hour in American media. Let us get to the phones because this first call will actually lead us into a topic of discussion that we need to have. Mike in South Carolina, you are up. How are you, Mike? Thank you for waiting.
Oh, no problem, Bo. How you doing? I'll tell you what. I was listening before. I just turned 71 May 11th. So I got to check my PSI, prostate, and I listen to Dominic all the time and whatever. And here's the thing. Talk a little music. I always get to it quick. Dire Straits, Sultan of Swing. I like a little Carlos Santana, Steely Dan, FM, Chicago. I'm going to speak with you Saturday. I always get to my point, whether I call Rita, and you know what?
Okay, so your point today is exactly what?
My point today is when Donald Trump got out of the starting gate, he hasn't stopped since. Unlike, hey, we feel bad for Joe Biden, but, the far left Democratic, mantra, drinking their Kool-Aid. Enough is enough. Let's go in a new direction. Let's go in a new direction, people.
Got it. Thank you. I appreciate it. John in Minnesota, you are up next. How are you?
Thanks, Paul.
John? John.
That's me.
Okay, we lost you for a moment.
Yeah,
Take advantage of the moment and just tell us what it is that you wanted to say really quickly.
I'm not buying the story that this was suddenly discovered. To go to a Gleason score of 9, which is 10 is the worst, and a stage 4 in a very short time is very suspicious. It might be coincidental with the release of the HER tapes. But the PSA, he should have had PSA tests every year. People make a big deal out of the People make a big deal out of the PSA test. It's just a blood test. They do a blood panel every year. You do a physical.
It's a blood panel, which is so suspicious. And so you said that you're not buying it. So let me just ask you a question directly. You're not buying this story. What do you think is going on here, John from Minnesota?
Not sure, but I'm a 20-year survivor of prostate cancer. And I know a little bit about the PSA test, and I say they make too much of a big deal about it because it's just like checking for diabetes or cholesterol. It's not a special test. And I'm just not buying it that he went from 0 to stage 4 Gleason score 9 in a short period of time. Either he wasn't getting adequate medical attention by his doctors or they're lying about it. And that's why I think the coincidence with the HER tapes is suspicious.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much for that call. As I said, there are many things I'm not going to weigh in on, ladies and gentlemen, but I would like you to hear some different audio. In fact, let's visit, to his point, urologist Dr. Bart Radolinsky. I believe he was on with Chris. That's cut 10. I believe he might have been on with Cecilia today. Let's just listen to this.
So it is a little bit surprising that the president of the United States didn't have a prostate exam in February. And to answer your question, is it possible that a nodule was not on that exam in February? It's possible, but it's
very unlikely. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would say it's very unlikely. And it's likely that before he even developed a nodule, his PSA, the blood test for screening for prostate cancer, would have been elevated.
Oh, I see. So there's doubt being cast right now. Now, I want to take you back, ladies and gentlemen, to the year 2024. Shortly after, and this was in a day or two, of Joe Biden saying that he was not going to run for the presidency again, dropping out of the race, I want to take you back to a little news report from CBS News. CBS is in the news today because the CBS head said she's leaving, but we'll get to that at some point. I want to take you back, cut 12, Carlos, to a CBS News report with Frank Biden, about Frank Biden, brother of Joe Biden, and just listen carefully as we go back and revisit this.
CBS News had a brief conversation with Frank Biden, one of President Biden's two younger brothers, and here's what he told us. He said, "I'm incredibly proud of my brother. Selfishly, I will have him back to enjoy whatever time we have left. He is a genuine hero. Country over self. It sounds corny in our cynical political environment, but he nor I are cynical. The goal remains the same: defeat Trump and continue the work that Joe has done. My hope is that our party rallies around this heroic act." We asked him whether he feels that his brother's overall health and vitality played a major role in this decision, and he says, in my humble opinion, absolutely. So a member of the president's family now confirming that the president's health was indeed a major factor in this decision, and calling his brother a hero for making the decision to pass the torch to Kamala Harris.
Well, isn't that
so, Nancy, sorry, can you clarify that the family saying his health was or was not a factor?
He's saying that in his humble opinion, yes, the president's health and vitality played a considerable role in his decision. It's important to note Frank Biden is not speaking for the family writ large. This was simply a conversation between CBS News and Frank Biden. Unclear how much input he had in this decision, but he says that he believes that his brother's health did play a role, and he says that the goal remains the same: to defeat Donald Trump.
Well, that is notable because to date, the family, the White House, the establishment has rejected the premise that there was anything that was challenging the president's mental acuity or his health, and that all these accusations were baseless, that it was just
baseless,
baseless. Difficult nights like he had on the debate stage. So that is a change in message.
Baseless. Okay, let's go to cut 9, ladies and gentlemen. This is from 2022. Joe Biden was speaking out at an event. I believe this was in the backdrop was a bridge. He was in Delaware, and it won't make sense. There's no context I can give you for the actual event until it gets near the end, and you'll hear a very interesting sentence from our president, from then President Joe Biden, back in 2022.
And because it was a 4-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer, and why can't for the longest time Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Say what? And then they later said he misspoke. Just one more time. Let's listen through the ramble to get to that last part. Just one more time. Play that, please, Carlos.
And because it was a four-lane highway that was accessible, my mother drove us, and rather than us be able to walk. And guess what? The first frost, you know what was happening? You had to put on your windshield wipers to get literally the oil slick off the window. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation. That's why I and so damn many other people I grew up have cancer. And why can't, for the longest time, Delaware had the highest cancer rate in the nation.
Yeah. Oh. Okay. So we have that. Now, Chris Cizilla, who used to be Washington Post, then CNN. Let's see what Chris Cizilla had to say on his podcast there. Cut 8.
This is a guy who was the president of the United States for 4 years and thought and ran for a second term, at which point he would have been in his mid-80s had he won and served. So that to me is a really serious conversation about how did we get to this point, given that there were a lot of signs that suggested that Joe Biden definitely should not have run for a second term. How did we get to this point? It's a media story. It's a politics story. It's a sort of transparency story. And again, I always say this, if the shoe was on the other foot, if Donald Trump, God forbid, had been diagnosed post-presidency with prostate cancer, and there were real questions about his acuity and his physical abilities while he was in office, do you think Democrats would say, let's just drop all of this? No, of course they wouldn't, because it's an important conversation to have, because we're talking about the president of the United States.
Goodness, it sounds like he's a little bit skeptical. It sounds like that way to me. Let's turn the channel. Let's flip over and see what they're saying on PMS NBC. That would be cut 5 with Dr. Vin Gupta on PMS NBC.
Going to run for president for another 4 years.
He's on Scarborough.
Obviously, the PSA exam is not 100% accurate, and I've never met a doctor that doesn't say you needed to do the PSA exam and also have the physical exam as well.
Oh, yeah.
I just find it hard to believe that any White House physician
digital exam,
wouldn't say, okay, well, what my doctor and what every other doctor says, which is, okay, we've done the PSA test and that's fine, but at least once a year we need to do a physical exam. Again,
the digital exam on the one-way street.
A 78-year-old guy that is not running the free world, that's one thing. But if you're a White House physician and you have any man over 40 years old, are you not going to at least say, hey, once a year, like every other physician says, once a year, we need to do a physical exam and check, because this is like one of the leading causes, one of the leading sicknesses for men.
And then you hear the snap of that glove.
Yeah, I mean, Joe, I think 100%. And did they do a digital rectal exam to assess his prostate? Again, typically that's done in the presence of symptoms. To your point, he's the leader of the free world. Did they do it and not characterize it? It's hard to know. We're speculating here. I would say in an abundance of caution, probably be holistic and comprehensive. That would make sense. It is interesting to note that President Trump's, President Obama's, and President Bush II, in their most recent physicals, in their terms of office, obviously 2025 for President Trump, did comment on their PSA levels. And so they got screened while in office and they commented on it. It's not easy to access the most recent ones from President Biden. You can read the summary articles. I couldn't access it on the archive site on the White House just before I came on. But according to those that were able to, there is not a report of a PSA test on the most recent physical that was read out for President Biden's last year in office. And so it's to say what was done, what was not done. You and I would be speculating, but the other 3 most recent occupants of the White House had it drawn, and it was reported out in the case of President.
Well, isn't that interesting? Let's go to another break, my friends. I want to grab another call or two here. That's fastest hour in American media. We have so much more. We didn't even talk about the ship yet, the Mexican ship that went into the bridge in Brooklyn, sadly resulted in a fatality. More than one, but there's news on that. Chuck Schumer. Well, listen as we come back from the commercial break. You'll hear who Chuck Schumer blames for the Mexican ship disaster. James Golden, Snerdley, fastest hour in American media continues. Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. Keep it right here. Do not go away.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Fellas, you know Degree Cool Rush deodorant, right? Well, last year they changed the formula, and guys were mad about it. One dude even started a petition. So guess what? Degree heard us, admitted they messed up, and brought the original Cool Rush scent back exactly how it was. And it's in Walmart, Target, and other stores now for under $4. So grab some and remember why its cool, crisp, and fresh scent made it the #1 men's antiperspirant for the last decade. Degree Cool Rush is back, and it smells like victory for all of us.
Running a business comes with a lot of what-ifs. But luckily, there's a simple answer to them. Shopify. It's the commerce platform behind millions of businesses, including Thrive Cosmetics and Momofuku. And it'll help you with everything you need. From website design and marketing to boosting sales and expanding operations, Shopify can get the job done and make your dream a reality. Turn those what-ifs into... Sign up for your $1 per month trial at shopify.com/special offer.
We off? 30 seconds of carefree bliss. Oof, like wind in your hair carefree. Oh, like using Clorox Disinfecting All-Purpose Cleaner in the home carefree. Yes! Like dog slobbing on the coffee table and cleaning it with Clorox Carefree. He's on a roll now. Spit toothpaste on the faucet. You got it. You got it. Peanut butter on the light switch. Oh, spritz, spritz. Spritz, spritz. Clorox, man. Clean feels good.
Okay, we're back. Use as directed.
Hey, guys, have you heard of Goldbelly? It's this amazing site where they ship the most iconic, famous foods from restaurants across the country, anywhere, nationwide. I've never found a more perfect gift than food. They ship Chicago deep dish pizza, New York bagels, Maine lobster rolls, and even Ina Garten's famous cakes. So if you're looking for a gift for the food lover in your life, head to goldbelly.com and get 20% off your first order with promo code GIFT.
The Rush Hour with James Golden on the Red Apple Podcast Network.
Mexican Navy tall ship crashes into the Brooklyn Bridge. Chuck U. Schumer.
We know that the Trump administration has been meddling in U.S. Coast Guard operations, from staffing to command and comms. And I have the general sense of a Doge dysfunction in parts of the Coast Guard. To put it mildly, after being fully briefed on last night's Brooklyn Bridge accident, one thing is very clear. There are many more questions than answers. We know that there has been meddling by the Trump administration into the Coast Guard staffing, and now we need to know how this meddling might have impacted the events of last night.
The President of the United States is the commander-in-chief. He doesn't meddle into the affairs of the Coast Guard. He runs the military. Idiot. And that's just the beginning. Anyway, James Golden, Snerdley, with you.
James Golden, a.k.a. Bo Snerdley, presents Rapid Phones.
And let's get to the calls. Mark in New Jersey, you are on. How are you?
I'm good, Bo. Thank you, man. Such a huge fan. Thank you for what you do. Listen, all I wanted to say was that the Joe Biden situation with his cancer diagnosis, although, again, my heart goes out to them, the family, the whole thing, speedy recovery. But the fact of the matter is the reason we're not learning about this now is simply because they were trying to cover it up along with his cognitive decline. And the reason that is because when you hear the word President of the United States, you think of leadership, you think of strength, you think of resiliency. And obviously we all know Biden did not have that. And, again, really, it's such an honor to speak with you, sir. And what's your take?
I'm still in the exploratory mode. As I said at the initial comments of today, having gone through prostate cancer, folks, I am just dubious, as the previous caller was, who has also had prostate cancer. You just don't go from most of the time. I'm not saying it's not possible, but you don't go from a low Gleason score of anywhere 0, 2, 3, and all of a sudden just jump to 9. Usually there is a progression. And if you're the president, I find it hard to believe that they're not taking PSA tests. It's a blood test. Why wouldn't they take it? Very briefly, Susan, if we don't get finished today, Susan, let's try to wrap up with another call later in the week. What's on your mind, Susan?
Oh, yeah,
Upstate New York.
Touched on Saturday, honey, about so this is a game changer. The investor rating service for bonds lowered Moody's lowered our AAA Treasury rating, and this is a total game changer for this bill because they lowered it, which makes our bonds riskier.
On the assumption that the debt is somehow horrible, they didn't lower it. The entire debt. As the debt was being raised during the Biden administration. Oh, we need to talk about this more. I think there's a lot of shenanigans going on here. We got to go. May God bless each and every single one of you, families and your loved ones. Love and gratitude for your being here with me, folks. God willing, back tomorrow, same time. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye.
Thanks for listening to Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour. You can hear Bo Snerdley's Rush Hour weekdays at 4 on 77 WABC. If you like the podcast, share it with your friends and listen anytime at WABCRadio.com and download the WABC Radio app. Hit that subscribe button on all major podcast platforms. Plus, follow WABC on social on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and X. See you next time for a new episode so you never have to wonder.
What the heck is going on here?